Digital Devil Scholars. Welcome to the Digital Devil Scholars podcast, which is probably going to be our inaugural episode, hopefully, where we look at the demons of the Shin Megami Tensei series. Me, a longtime fan, and Yuji, not really knowing anything about it.
Yeah, just in passing. Not a whole lot of knowledge on any of the series, though.
Yeah, so I thought that might be interesting perspective-wise and whatnot, and he doesn't even know, at least for this one, possibly might be something that changes later, he doesn't even know what demon we're talking about today.
Not a clue, no. There's one infamous demon that I am very familiar with, and that's about all you'll know that I have reference for.
Is it Big and Green?
Actually, I'm not 100% sure on how it looks. I just know that it has been affectionately named by me the Wee Wee Monster.
Ah, yes. It is. It most likely is the one I'm thinking of then. Though there are quite a few. But, yeah, so, getting more. What we're going to be doing is, I'm going to give Yuji the name of the demon. He's going to do his best to describe it with what he thinks it would look like from the name, be it if he knows what it is or not, which can definitely get hilarious, I think.
Especially since I have, no real reference for, who the artists are, or if there's even more than one artist. If you ask me something with Pokemon, I know generally how they would create a Pokemon. I have zero idea how they create the demon's art.
Yeah, and some of the demons, there's a lot of little subtext in the designs.
Yeah, it's a lot more detailed than I'd probably be used to for a monster taming game.
And then after I get Yuji to describe what he thinks it's gonna look like, then we're gonna go through the official designs of it, the sprites of it, not the concept art or stuff like that. And then gonna talk about it in lore and talk about it in the context of the series. What's depending on the one, for this week, it has a lot of lore to it, so we're just gonna glance over a few things with it. But other ones we might go into a bit more detail if there's not as much of the lore for it.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a plan. It's kind of going to be a lot of you talking, telling me how things are, you explaining the lore, because obviously I don't know, and I'm intentionally going in blind.
Yeah, because it could be something you've never ever heard of entirely.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the Demon of the Week, Yuji?
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, the Demon of the Week is the series' first main antagonist, and it's the main antagonist of the original novel as well, and this demon's name is Loki.
Loki?
The god of mischief.
I was really expecting, Satan himself.
I figured I might save Satan for a later one, because that is a demon.
I know that they get religious, just from passing, I know that they do a lot of religious figures, but...
Yeah, that one isn't it. The way I'm thinking right now is we'll do, a season of each mythology.
Okay.
With the focus on that mythology at the time.
Although this one's most definitely looking Norse-themed.
Yep.
Because I do know Loki as in, the Norse...
Pantheon.
Yeah. But honestly, if you had asked me, I'm so used to seeing, pop culture versions of Loki now, I don't know what he actually looked like in Norse mythology, I don't think.
Honestly, with Loki, this would be quite a bit of a hard one, because you know what one of his defining features is?
That he has no defining feature?
No, he can shapeshift.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say that he's probably just whatever. I took the form that would scare you the least.
Yep, or I took the form that will terrify the fuck out of you.
Yeah. Alright, but I feel the Norse they're giants, so I'm immediately picturing him as a giant. But also, I've been playing God of War, and he's kind of small in that.
We've been playing Ragnarok.
No, actually, I haven't played that one yet. I've just been playing the original one.
Been we playing the... Okay.
But no, I think he's definitely going to be a giant of some sort. Because his son is the World Serpent, or is that something different? Am I thinking different?
That is correct.
Yeah.
One of his kids is the World Serpent.
So he's got to be a big dude.
I believe it's... I'm gonna butcher its name, because... Wait, it's not. The demon...
It's Jorgenheimer or something.
Yep, Jorgenheimer or something like that. Because where it's not the Demon of the Week. Actually, I'm not even sure if it is a demon in the series. I have to see about that.
That'd be pretty rad. I do I guess I would say I do the Norse mythology, but I guess it's whatever version has trickled down to be more like God of War's in to a lesser extent the comics.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of liberty taken in the comics to the mythology.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Marvel comics to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a regular behind dude in the movies, at least. So he's going to be a giant. Okay, so I got that. I know Norse is cold, so he's going to be big frosty dude. He's going to have this massive like iced up beard, and he's going to have his toes out because he got big toes for sure.
Got them toes out.
Yeah, and I feel like clothes wise, he's probably just wearing like whatever the Norse version of like a tunic is. Like not a tunic, but like a toga. You know how like the Greek gods are always depicted in just a one piece of cloth that's like covering him up. He's probably like got whatever the Norse version of that is.
Yeah, honestly, this is putting a funny image in my head. Yeah, I'm pretty much imagining a giant Santa Claus wearing a toga.
Yeah, I don't know if he's quite that jolly of a giant, but I think that's what came to mind first.
Before I say it, Peter, just something interesting with what you said. Most of the Aesir, which is the main pantheon of Nordic gods, he is the only giant.
Oh, really? I thought you were about to tell me that he was just a giant wolf or something. He's not even a human.
He is the only giant. Most of the Aesir hate giants, so it's funny that you actually mentioned the giant thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that also, it's not to keep relating it back to God of War, but God of War, Loki's mom and dad is a giant, so
yeah. Well, God of War does take some liberties, from my understanding. It actually does much more faithful in this and of the Nordic mythologies.
But the one thing that does mention, I don't know if it actually is how it is or not, but the giant doesn't actually like mean what we think it means. Like we picture like actual like massive beings. Giant is just like a race. They're not much bigger than actual people.
It was just bigger than people.
But I'm picturing a giant, like what we would think a giant is.
Mm-hmm. You ready to see some of the art?
Yeah, let's go.
So this was displayed in the original game.
That's very feminine looking. I would not expect that at all.
Wait until you get to the lore part. Okay, this is displayed in the second game.
I can barely tell. I mean, I know that they're not working with a lot of they don't have a lot to work with on the NES, Famicom.
Yep, these first two are on the Famicom.
Does not even look like a person to me.
No. Now, they also remade the first two games on the Super Famicom, with that being the split for the first game's remake.
Like an iced out werewolf. It's like very feral. I wasn't imagining quite as feral.
Actually, along with all this, I actually put up a picture of the cover of the book, because he's actually on the cover, too.
I know it won't be much good for the audio listeners, but I'll probably slap something together for the video version to kind of go along.
And this is the remake of the second one. That's his design.
Yeah, like I had to really squint my eyes to make the details out on that, because just looking at it for what it is, again, I know that they're not working with a lot. It looks like whatever it is just a single pole. There's no definition to the legs. It just looks like he's on one leg. Maybe he is. Who knows? And then yeah.
Yeah, because it's the other one's hidden behind the weapon.
And it's he's got half his head chopped off. I know that's supposed to be here, but it looks like he just got his head blown back.
Also, you know what's odd about this one to me?
That his hair's red?
Oh, no, Nordic hair is traditionally red. A lot of the Norse gods are actually supposed to have red hair.
Let's go, ginger.
Yep, the ginger just like you. I know you're a god in disguise, Yuji.
I like to see the ginger representation, so...
Yeah, no, but you know what I think's odd about this one specifically? You know I told you that the first and second games got remakes, and that's what these two splits have been from?
Yeah.
The remakes were packaged together, so that also means they used more space to have two different designs.
That is funny. I guess if they want to make them stand... Yeah, that's weird. I guess because they're the same game, right?
Yep, they're literally on the same cartridge together. If you beat the first one, it immediately launches the second one.
That's funny.
Yeah, this is what his main design became throughout the series. What is this?
Is he naked?
Yep.
He almost got a toga on, but it's not tied shut.
Yeah, it's more like a cloak type thing, but beyond that, naked. And then they changed the ginger locks for blonde locks.
Also, I imagined his skin being a blue color, just because the ice theme, but I wouldn't imagine it had been quite as purple as they went with.
Yeah, they go for some interesting design choices. And I will say, this is my least favorite design.
Yeah, it just looks like a... Oh,
the 3D version.
I know that it was probably pretty crude 3D at the time, but...
Yep, this one is specifically... It says it's from the Xbox game 9, but this design was used for the entirety of the PS2 era.
That is... Unfortunate. I wonder if did he at least look bigger than everybody else at the time, like other player models?
Yeah, for SMT3, if I remember correctly, he is about the size of two of the main characters stacked on top of each other.
They didn't even give my guy guns or anything. He just looked like a normal dude with a diaper.
This one is my favorite design. I call it Batwing Loki.
Yeah, see, that's like a little more like feral looking than I was imagining. That's like, if you told me that was Loki off jump, I would have believed that.
Yeah, that's the design they use nowadays for him as well. They get a bit of a higher quality image of it.
I do like the idea you mentioned that he's in actual lore a shapeshifter, so I do like the idea that he changes every game, but if they were going to land on a design, I think I agree with you that one's the best.
Yeah. And then from the more kid-oriented Devil Children series, which
I had no idea even existed.
Yeah, it's the attempt to chase the Pokemon hype.
Right.
But it was a more kid-oriented series. It still used all of the demons, including stuff like Satan and Lucifer. But they had this version of Loki.
He just looks like he like wants to be Loki, but he's not. He's just Dracula in disguise.
Yeah, it looks like a kid Dracula with elf ears cosplaying Loki.
Yeah.
And then in Persona 5, because he's actually like a main character's persona, he has a unique design, which I'm actually gonna have to zoom out of, because I'm zoomed in 400% when I was showing you all those.
What in the...
With this being his main design.
That's very abstract. He's like, I never noticed until now, like they say zebras are striped like that because it makes it hard to predators to see them, but I never noticed how effective that could be until I looked at this thing. I can't tell what the heck's going on right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, and this design I will enjoy.
I feel like that one would have to grow on me. He's very strange. He's got like weird like hoof heels and like I guess like 3 massive like braids coming out the back.
Oh, I know why they did the hoof heels for this, and it's gonna get hilarious when I tell you the lore, because one of the things that I've prepared for the lore section involves why they chose the hoof feet. But so, are we in agreement on this one being the best design? Batwing, or do you think one of the other ones is better?
No, I think if I was gonna land on one, they'd be that one. I do have a slight bias to the red haired one also, but
that one.
Yeah.
But overall,
that's gotta be the worst one.
Yeah. Yeah, that is my least favorite one.
That one's unfortunate.
And they went with that for like the entirety of the PS2 era. But yeah, so time for the lore section. The first piece of lore that I've bought is they were hiring someone to build a giant wall around I believe Asgard. I might have where it was being built wrong, but it's like, you know, home of the gods and whatnot.
Right.
And they'd made a deal with the construction worker, because it's one guy, that if he could get it done within a year, because he was bragging that he could, and for a normal human that wouldn't be possible, they would give him Freya, who's a war goddess, the goddess of the Valkyrie, and a goddess of beauty and fertility and whatnot. They'd give her hand in marriage. But see, there was a slight issue. You know how I said a normal human wouldn't be able to do it?
Right.
Yeah, what they didn't know was the guy was a giant, and it gets closer to the deadline, it looks like he's gonna actually be able to finish it. And it gets the day of, and he's close to finishing it, like 1 brick left. They're trying to come up with like a counter plan to, you know, get out of the deal, because the Norse gods are not really too keen on keeping deals and whatnot, but then again, most gods and pantheons probably aren't.
Yeah, they're all kind of scummy.
And the way they do it is he was using a horse to move the stone and whatnot. So Loki turns into a horse to distract it and get the giant's male horse away from him and distract him and whatnot. So Loki turns into a female horse and leads the horse away.
I can see where the hooves are coming into play. It's
So needless to say, they get out of the deal because he doesn't finish in time, but the giant calls them out on the bullshit, and so the gods kill him.
Yep, that's how they...
But see, Loki's distraction was a bit of a sexual nature.
That also checks out.
Yep. He gives birth to Odin's horse, Sleipnir, who's an 8-legged horse.
At that point, I feel like it's a different animal. You showed me a horse with 8 legs. I'm suddenly thinking that's like a centaurhorse or something, like a centipede.
That is one of Loki's 4 kids. You've already mentioned Mjolnir. Oh, how Mjolnir? Can you pronounce it again?
I have no idea.
His world serpent.
Yeah, I would have guessed like Jorheimer or something like that,
Yeah,
but I
Jorheimer,
might also just be
whatever.
throwing out another Norse word I've heard recently. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's those 2. There's also Fenrir, the Great Wolf, and then there's the goddess of death in the underworld, Hel, which is also believed to be where we got the word for our underworld, or the Christian underworld Hell from. But yeah, and then the other piece of lore I'm bringing up, because if we just went on, he's one of the major gods of the pantheon. We could probably sit here for hours just reciting his lore.
Right? Yeah, I feel like I don't know if he was. You showed me quite a few games that he's been in, so it sounds like he's played a part in a lot of them.
Yeah, we're gonna have a decent size route for the game section as well. Or for the series section, because like you mentioned, he's been in since the series since the original game.
Right.
And I did skip when he didn't have redesigns and just kept using the same design.
Yeah.
Because there's like that 2D version of that bad design. There's like 7 games with that design.
Oh Lord.
For the actual lore part again. The other one is what the event that kickstarts off Ragnarok. Which I'm not so if do you happen to know what that event is, Yuji, or no?
No.
Okay, the big event that kicks off Ragnarok is the death of Baldur. What's everything had sworn never to harm Baldur except for one insignificant plant that was forged. We know it today as mistletoe.
Right.
And Baldur, it was the one like the gods had a game of throwing stuff at Baldur because obviously whatever they threw at him, it would never hold him. And I guess he enjoyed the attention because he let them do it. And Baldur had a blind brother who Loki gave a bow with mistletoe attached to it or dipped in mistletoe oil or something like that.
Yeah.
And the bow or the arrow got shot at Baldur and Baldur died. And for that they imprisoned Loki for a good while before he eventually breaks free, leads an army of giants to attack Asgard, and then him and Heimdall get into a battle to the death where they both kill each other. Still on Ragnarok.
Right.
Which is the other bit of lore I bought, because I don't want to go too deep into Ragnarok, because I know you want to play the other game, and God of War game, and I don't know how accurate it is to that, but with it being called...
But even, like, I'm not worried about it. It's based off of literally 1,000-year-old stories at this point, like, that I, like, vaguely know. Like, I'd probably wouldn't be able to recite to you, but, like, I've heard, at some point or other, I've heard a lot of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the majority of what he does in Ragnarok. He leads the army of giants, fights the gods, and kills another god that kills him at the same time. But like I said, we'll try. The current game plan is to do seasons. A lot of people's things are going to end at Ragnarok.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, though.
Yeah, because that was the big Norse end of the world. That was the apocalypse. Now going to the Shin Megami Tensei series, or the Digital Devils story, because that's what we're going to be going with originally, is the original story. And this is the one you'll need the trigger warning for.
Okay.
Because the main character, Nakajima, he's being bullied at school, so he decides to make a devil summoning program in his PC in a fit of madness.
Okay.
And he brings Loki into his computer. What's this first one? The original stuff is very sci-fi, like
right.
sci-fi. I'm like, oh, what could the internet be capable of? At the time, because it's written in like the 80s, I think.
Right.
You know, the internet's hot and new.
Yeah, I wasn't around to see it, but
yeah, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And what happens is he uses Loki. It possesses, mind controls the class and uses the classmates to kill the people that were bullying Nakajima and the teacher who was ignoring it, I believe. And another thing that Loki wants is sexual relief.
Of course.
So he uses mind-controlled teachers and I believe at times students to satisfy Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we want the trigger warning.
Yeah.
Eventually, he realizes Loki's doing stuff without him asking for it. He realizes Loki's trying to push the boundary and actually enter the world outside the computer.
Right.
And long story short, him and a classmate, Yumiko, who are both reincarnations of a god and goddess, apparently. Because why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Like I said, like I've told you off, though the novels aren't particularly well written. Anyway, they go through trial and error and eventually kill Loki, who is trying to enter the world. And that's where we'll leave that off because, well, again, not really well written at all.
Right. Yeah, that you've like have mentioned it before, but I've never like realized it was like literally just like the guy had like a million ideas and just like couldn't figure out how to write any of them. That's what it sounded like, at least.
Yeah, you should see part 2 where the teacher who's pregnant with Loki's baby is trying to summon another god.
Oh yeah.
Because he's mad and obsessed with gods now. Yeah, so from there we can go on to the games. What's Loki in the first game? It's also called Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei. He isn't the main antagonist of the game because the plot actually takes place after the first 2 books, with Lucifer being the main antagonist, reviving Loki, and he's about a mid-game boss. Yeah, it's dungeon crawl on the NES. It's not super plot heavy. That is legit about the entirety of the plot.
Yeah, I've seen very little bit of gameplay of it, but I know that it's like, because isn't it like a first-person dungeon crawler almost?
Yep, it is a first-person dungeon crawler, and the entirety of the original game is from the first-person dungeon crawler perspective. There was no overworld map or anything. You start off in a tower, and you just travel from tower to tower.
I think the only reason I know that is because either I've seen like a fun facts video, or maybe even you showed me at some point that like Mickey Mouse is somewhere in the dungeon.
That's actually Shin Megami Tensei. This game predates Megami Tensei.
So they must just have similar art, or not art styles, but similar gameplay.
Yeah, that it wasn't until the well, technically PlayStation 1 because of Persona games, but most of the Megami Tensei games are first-person dungeon crawlers until the PS2 era.
Gotcha.
Like, every now and again there'll be a spin-off that's like Majin Tensei, which is an SRPG, or the Last Bible series, was like a more traditional JRPG style.
Right.
Yeah, but like Shin Megami Tensei and whatnot, they have an overworld map. This game legit does not even have an overworld map. Like, it's just all the dungeons are connected.
That's crazy. I guess they're just so limited what they had to work with back then.
And then, honestly, he's not actually a major layer. In a lot of the games, it's mostly just he's also a demon in it. The next actual major role he's got is in Shin Megami Tensei 3, which if you count the Megami Tensei games, that's actually his 5th game.
Right.
In SMT3, the world's in an apocalypse state, like it's already been blown up and whatnot. There's a bar being ran by Nyx, the Greek goddess, and Loki's and drinking there, and he has an item in his room there that you want. It's like an 1,000 yen bill. This would be roughly like a $10 bill for us.
Right.
And he's trying to charge the main character 20 million maka, which is the currency the game's used when it gets to an apocalypse state.
It's like bottle caps.
That's a lot. That's about like how the bike salesmen in the Pokemon games are.
Yeah.
But you can't actually get that money.
Right.
So you end up breaking into his room, killing the guy guarding his room and stealing the bill. And then he's still drinking, but he's upset about, having his room broken into, but he doesn't know you did it. And at a later point, in order to get drinking money, he actually sells you a key for a dungeon.
Right.
And that's about the extent of him in the game. Shin Megami Tensei 4, there's a side quest where Heimdall sends you to look for him. He actually wasn't planning anything, but he's upset that the gods are checking up on him, so he battles you. And then you kill him. He's surprised he can actually be defeated by a being that's not a god, and enjoys the chaos and surprised people can bring him, which is why he still wants to remain a god.
I feel like that would send most gods into like a fit.
Mm-hmm. It would probably send most gods into a fit to be killed by or defeated by someone mortal.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty like unhinged that he just like likes the chaos of it.
I'd call him the god of mischief. He's also the god of chaos.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
He is a very chaotic being.
No, I'm just imagining him as the guy. Oh, he slips my mind now. The guy from Oblivion, though,
Yeah, that is. I know who you mean. It's like Sagoth or.
Yeah, it's Sheogorath.
Yeah, that's actually a fitting description of him.
Yeah, that's who I was imagining now.
Mm-hmm. In Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, which is a sequel to SMT4, he also appears in a side quest there where he's being tricked, and I put quotes around tricked, by a group of people to think that he's being joined into the Divine Powers, which is the main antagonistical group of that 4 Apocalypse. But turns out he actually doesn't like the Divine Powers, and he was trying to sneak in to butcher them all. So he just kills the people that think that are tricking him, because that was his plan to begin with in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like that's on them, though. They should have saw that one coming.
Mm-hmm. But then he decides to play with Nanasi, which is the main character's name of that one, like a fight with him. And then after being defeated, he's excited and says along the lines that he hopes to be able to fight him again when the world's engulfed in flames and falling Ragnarok. But the one that I'll do 5. I'll do Shin Megami Tensei 5 first. He's got a side quest in 5 as well, where he's kidnapped a Norse goddess, I believe pronounced Idun, Idun, who is a goddess that supplies the Norse gods with a very special flute. I haven't mentioned this before, but the Norse gods, they aren't immortal.
Really?
Nope, they actually can die of old age, but the special fruit Idun supplies them with is a golden, at least it's often depicted as a golden apple, which gives them an extended lifespan. He's kidnapped that goddess, so obviously a lot of things are kind of iffy on terms because, you know, the gods want to be able to have the golden apples. So you end up having to search for him, the fleet and Dune. Obviously, he doesn't want you to flee and moves to eliminate you, but you defeat him and he realizes exactly what you are, which is pretty much with in Shin Megami Tensei 5. Demons and humans originate as one being, but the Christian god didn't want to share the power, so he split demons, which is the power, from the wisdom, which is the human. And a Nahabino is something that is a demon and human that have merged together, recombining the wisdom and the power. And he realizes that's what you are after defeating and after being killed by you.
You get some courage in there, you'll have a Triforce.
Yeah. But the one that's going to have the most info about it, because he is a very prevalent character in it, Devil Survival, which is also coincidentally, fun fact, my first Shin Megami Tensei game.
You weren't introduced to it until there were 5 games?
Devil Survival was a spin-off game. There was only 3 mainline ones was released at the time. 4 if you count. Actually, no, Strange only came out after I got into it. But if you want to count all the spin-offs, there were like 30 games before I got into it.
Oh lord, that's so much.
Yeah, there are a lot of spin-offs, because like every Persona game's a spin-off. There's the Last Bible series, Majin Tensei. There's just a lot of the games. So we didn't get... It was probably like the 7th game out in the US. Well, in the West. Maybe like within the full... It was within the first 10 that got localized.
Right.
But I'd say it's probably like 09 or so when Devil Survival came out. So that's around when I got into the series. But Devil Survival, there's a main, well not necessarily main, but there's a side character that helps you a bit throughout the games, who is only referred to as Gigolo.
That's a unfortunate name, or maybe perfectly on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why they called him that, but that is a picture of him from the manga.
That's a normal manga guy.
Yeah, like I said. Oh, actually, here's a sprite from the game. That's his, like, face sprite for when he's talking.
Right.
You first meet him on, I believe, day 2 of the game, because the game takes place within 7 days. And you are being hunted down by a demon named Baldur.
Oh, yeah?
And he is the one that tips you off about what mistletoe is and actually pretty much hints to you where you can find it. And he's the one that leads you to it, pretty much, and allows you to kill Baldur. Because nothing you've done up in that point, you've had encounters with Baldur before, and nothing affected him, because everything sworn never to harm Baldur besides it. But you find that, you lead him that and kill Baldur, And then later, I think the next time you see him would probably be day 6. He's giving you hints to the next fight. Because there's like what's considered a big tournament, pretty much. So, the contest where a bunch of demons with Bell in their name. They changed Baldo to Beldo spelling wise for the game.
Nice.
They fiddled with the spellings a bit. This to become like a demon prince, demon king type thing, like rival to Lucifer strength. And he's giving you tips throughout it because you seem to be able to participate in the fight. Because, spoiler alert, you are the reincarnation of Abel, one of Adam's sons.
Yeah.
You are the reincarnation of Abel. Your cousin's also been helping you. Your cousin designed the demon summoning program and whatnot. Yeah, and you had some of this next one, which is Belial, which is a demonic prince. You defeat him as well. But this is where it gets different because the game has like 5 or 6 endings, and he actually participates in quite a few of the endings.
Are they like good ending, bad ending? Like,
the endings can vary greatly. Like what most people consider the bad ending, which is the runaway ending, because you've been trapped in a place this whole time. Because the reason there's 7 days is because the angels pretty much have given a 7-day timer. If the world can't figure out how to stop the demons, then they're pretty much wiping out and starting anew.
They're hitting the Halo arrays.
Yep, pretty much.
They put it on the 7-day timer, so you figure it out or we're starting over.
And in the bad ending, you're choosing the one-away escape. And Loki taunts you about that, like choosing the coward's way out and whatnot. And you have a boss fight with Loki. And what's called the Messiah route, where you side with angels, you'll become the Demon King and use the demons for good in the work of helping angels. And he will appear when you're fighting your cousin, who also starts saying like biblical things to you about you betraying him and whatnot. And where it's revealed that your cousin's the reincarnation of Cain, but he'll fight you alongside your cousin. He also appears in the overclocked version's extra 8th day of the Demon King route, where you've become Demon King and you're going to be fighting against the angels and God and whatnot. He appears as an optional encounter where he's pretty much tempted one of the characters that has been trying to get out to see his son who's been in the hospital, and to thinking that he can see his son if he ambushes and kills you, because it amuses him. He also appears in Devil Survivor 2, but it's just as like a generic demon. He's summoned by the final boss in one of the routes and says like a cheeky line about it, and that's about it.
He's just a little fan service, a little nod.
Yep, a little bit of fan service, a little nod, wink, wink. And that's, everything about Loki. Yeah, that's like every major appearance of him, like, besides Persona 5, but that's going like in the major spoilers for Persona 5.
Gotcha.
And where that's like one of the more popular ones, I don't want to spoil too much. With that, we'll bring the episode to a close. If you want to hear more from us, we have another podcast that we do with a friend called Portable, Talking Bros, where we do top 5s. I also stream on Twitch under /Zothatep, but Yuji's also sometimes there as well.
Yeah, I don't show up anywhere other than as guest here or there.
Most of the time you'll also be in the chat.
Yeah, I'm definitely around, I just don't have any platforms that I do my own thing on.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.